I had the absolute pleasure of watching one battle after another, not once, but twice in IMAX over the weekend.
This is an announcement of revolution. The message is clear.
I don't know.
So to say that Paul Thomas Anderson has been on my mind lately would be an understatement. However, I don't think any significant amount of time really goes by where I'm not thinking of this guy. Writing, directing, being Maya Rudolph's husband. Paul Thomas Anderson can seemingly do it all and continues to prove that he is not just one of the strongest voices working today in the film industry, he very well could be the defining voice of our time. In one battle after another, PTA goes full dad mode, envisioning a world where fatherhood is both a crumbling institution but also the most powerful force on earth. It's fast, it's loud, it's really funny, and it's genuinely moving. Though there's an argument to be made that Paul Thomas Anderson is at his best when he's working on smaller scale stories. I often see Licorice Pizza being ranked really low when it comes to Paul Thomas Anderson movies, and this troubles me really greatly. Watching this in a movie theater at the tail end of 2021 was a real treat, and it's honestly one of the reasons I'm so into film in the first place. I'd kind of forgotten how magical movies and going out and watching a movie can actually be. Releasing amid the whole COVID-19 thing probably helped this movie make a big impact in my life, but I'd also just forgotten how fun it was to go watch a movie in a room full of people. Now, I'll admit, Licorice Pizza is certainly different from most or pretty much every other Paul Thomas Anderson film out there. One of PTA's best abilities as a filmmaker is getting you, the person in the audience watching the movie, immersed and involved in the world. Characters like the evil oil baron Daniel Plainview
To drink your milkshake, I drink your milkshake.
or cult leader Lancaster Dodd
The minty flavor.
inhabit. But PTA manages to expand upon these talents tenfold in Licorice Pizza, where there will be blood and the master have very specific laid out plot points and story beats. Licorice Pizza instead feels delicate and relaxed and as fleeting as the wind itself. You don't just feel like you're living with these characters, you feel like they are your best friends. The most obvious comparison to make when talking about Licorice Pizza is Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused.
It was a time they will never forget.
There's a new Fiesta in the making as we speak.
Another film that kind of just completely engrosses you into this realistic but fictional world where summer is forever and the troubles of life are always just out of your peripheral. There's a real "that's a problem for tomorrow" vibe to both of these movies, even though tomorrow never comes. That's kind of the magic of movies anyway. Licorice Pizza is a hangout film, full stop. I think going into this movie expecting PTA to blow you away with super deep themes and beautiful imagery and just to wow you kind of sets you up for failure. Now, Licorice Pizza is incredible and it's full of emotional, deep cutting moments and enough breathtaking shots to qualify it for entry in the Guggenheim. But at the end of the day, PTA is simply asking you to chill out and take it all in, because after all, life moves pretty fast.
Life moves pretty fast.
Whether you want to grow up quickly or return to your childhood, the passage of time is relentless and hunts everyone down. All we can really do is enjoy the ride. Now, the biggest, most illegal elephant in the room when it comes to Licorice Pizza is the age gap between Gary and Alana. Gary is 15 but is already outpacing the adults in his life. From waterbed startups to arcades, Gary has his finger on the pulse of his community. However, Gary is forced to grow up fast, a little bit too fast. PTA touches on something very interesting in the first part of this movie involving child actors and kind of the Hollywood system. I'm not exactly sure what he is saying, but it's obvious to anyone that this aspect of the film industry is wildly unhealthy and toxic and abusive and any other adjective you want to say. We're seeing more and more being said and done when it comes to child actors and what parents are willing to do to their kids in order to gain financial freedom or fame. Gary kind of epitomizes a lot of these examples and a lot of problems. He represents both the good and bad about being a hustler and kind of having a carefree environment to grow up in. He's flying on planes by himself, he's hitting on women, he's even smoking cigarettes.
The minty flavor.
Look, I know the 70s were a different time, but there's never been a time where kids didn't need their parents. And Paul Thomas Anderson tells a pretty damning story when it comes to Gary. Gary also represents the longing to expedite the growing up process. Everyone remembers being jealous of that one guy or girl or they, them,
Is that a he or a she or a they?
They, them.
Okay, I just want to be polite.
that got their first credit card or was able to drive before anyone else. People want what they can't have. They want to grow up and do things and get going in life. Alana is a completely different story. At 25 years old, she's both way too old for Gary and his shenanigans. But there's something deep within her that wants to be young again. I know 25 isn't that old, but there's a huge difference between being a quarter of a century old and still in high school like Gary. I think it's pretty fitting that the first time we see Alana is at school. She blends right in and is literally there to pick out children for the school's photo shoot. It's a cheeky way to introduce her character while also showing age is a lot more than what someone looks like. 10 years is a huge gap for any relationship, let alone one involving an adult and a high schooler. But Alana doesn't look out of place in school or next to Gary. What makes Licorice Pizza so interesting as a movie, as an idea, is that these two characters aren't just in love with each other, they're in love with what each other represents. Alana is Gary's ticket to adulthood, and Gary is a return to innocence for Alana. It's not just the literal forbidden fruit PTA is playing with here, it's the fountain of youth too. But no, PTA is absolutely 100% romanticizing Gary and Alana's relationship. There's simply no other way to put it. Sure, they're bad for each other and they fight a lot, but Licorice Pizza is incredibly romantic and it doesn't go out of its way to paint either character poorly. Instead, PTA focuses on the recklessness of young people, more specifically young love, and how it can be both an incredible feeling and something that can weigh you down. Gary and Alana are trying to use each other to find themselves. Just because someone is young doesn't mean they aren't smart, and just because someone is old doesn't mean they have it all figured out. Licorice Pizza romanticizes this main relationship, sure, but I don't think it condones it. There's so many ways to examine movies and to unearth hidden meaning and extract that, oh, the color of that wall means this actually, and what this character's doing isn't exactly, that. But Licorice Pizza's best quality is just how simple and easygoing it is. What you see is what you get. Licorice Pizza feels less like a warning sign and more like an open window back into a more simple but still problematic time. Above any other Paul Thomas Anderson films, Licorice Pizza feels the most intentional in this way. I see Gary and Alana as two sides of the same coin, or they're like two angels sitting on someone's shoulder telling them what to do. One is saying, embrace adulthood, move on, get a head start, and the other is longing to just be a kid again. Sure, these two people are their own persons, but Gary and Alana feel as though they are one singular character. Their relationship is the actual main character of Licorice Pizza. Wow, I know. I'm not trying to sound too big-brained here or think too deeply about this movie. I really just feel like people overthink Licorice Pizza and what Paul Thomas Anderson is really trying to do here. Licorice Pizza isn't a pro-illegal age gap comedy. It's a last glimpse at the hope and sincerity and ambition that leaves people once they enter the real world. It's super important people engage with art, weird, strange, uncomfortable art, in meaningful ways. Humans are complex and human nature is often wrong and immoral. But I don't recall anyone wanting to cancel PTA for having a disgusting, money-hungry oil baron in their would-be blood, or a poisonous bride in Phantom Thread. Characters are what make a movie. We often think of people being moral or immoral, but this in itself is a childish way to view the world. Nothing is black and white, everything is shades of gray. Or Gary. The real truth of life is that people want what they can't have. Kids want to be adults. Adults want to be kids. Neither one is there when you want it, and by the time you realize what you've lost, it's all gone. Paul Thomas Anderson isn't showing how toxic relationships can be. He's not trying to take the moral high ground by telling this story. He's simply letting it all breathe in a funny, sweet, ugly, immature, controversial way. At the very least, Licorice Pizza is hilarious. The central performances from Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim are phenomenal breakout roles, each bringing life into this already richly detailed 1970s time capsule. The supporting cast is really great too. Bradley Cooper is really fun as an absolutely manic John Peters, the boyfriend of
Barbra Streisand?
Barbra Streisand.
Sand.
Yeah, like sands. Like the ocean, like
Barbra
beaches.
Streisand?
No, like Streisand.
Sand.
Streisand.
Sean Penn and Tom Waits are incredible in this kind of offshoot during the middle part of the film.
Roll camera. Roll sound.
It feels like one long inside joke that just keeps rolling and rolling until things just get insane. Skylar Gisondo is pitch perfect as this smarmy, rich kid, but kind of likable guy you want to hang out with. Dude who knows it all. I would love to see him tap into this vein more. However, the standout of the supporting cast, and maybe even the main cast, is Harriet Sansom Harris, who makes a very small appearance in the middle of the film, but is by far one of the funniest performances I've seen, maybe, surely in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and maybe any movie ever.
Trying to be all pretty for me, but really you remind me of a dog.
She plays this agent type character, and the interaction between her and our main duo, Gary and Alana, is literal gold. I don't know how Paul Thomas Anderson can write things so well and can shoot things so well and can make movies so it's just really unfair. Paul Thomas Anderson and fellow cinematographer Michael Bauman also shoot the out of this movie. PTA is known for making gorgeous films, but there's a simplicity to Licorice Pizza that is both impressive and really frustrating. He just makes it look so easy and natural in a way that is different from, you know, There Will Be Blood and The Master and all of his other great movies. All this to really say, I really don't understand how Licorice Pizza could be your least favorite pizza
time.
Could be your least favorite PTA film. It feels like the closest we get to actually understanding the man behind these movies. Someone incredibly smart and thoughtful, a workaholic who just wants to push forward, but at the same time is very nostalgic and relishes in the past. Paul Thomas Anderson is both Gary and Alana. Or maybe I'm just built different and I enjoy trash. I mean, Inherent Vice is also one of my other favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movies. People often rank that one low, even lower than Licorice Pizza. But these two movies are just so special, so funny in a way very few movies, even from Paul Thomas Anderson, feel. Licorice Pizza is something I'll always cherish. I talked about how I vividly remember going and watching it in the movie theater, and it was so special and it was so fun to do that. I think each time you watch this movie, you kind of add on your own emotions and your own memories and nostalgia to the film. This is what it's actually about. I think it's about reminiscing in the past while also having to deal with getting old. The only thrill thing that I'm confused about is how Ray Nicholson got an acting credit for this movie. I've watched it twice and I have no idea where you can see this guy. Maybe I'm just missing it, but it's really weird that you've got the son of Jack Nicholson in this movie. And I look it up on Google and I have no idea where he is in the movie. I also think it's so awesome that it's called Licorice Pizza, a title that makes no sense. Even if you've seen the movie, they don't eat pizza really. I don't think they eat pizza. They don't eat licorice. Licorice Pizza is not mentioned in this movie. And I think that's awesome. I think it's really cool that it's just called that. So go Paul Thomas Anderson. Keep giving your movies awesome titles.